again to talk about upon once upon a time. Once upon a time. But before I get to that, I want to thank you for all of your birthday wishes. It was a fabulous birthday, and many of you know it was a big decade birthday. And I also want to let you know about the large size candy bars were a huge hit. We had more trick-or-treaters than we've ever had. We had 62. And in our old house, we were lucky to get maybe 20, 25. So that was a huge hit. We'll see how many we get next year. And then lastly, I had that big birthday surprise in Las Vegas. And what was that all about? So I'm going to share with you my exposure to Las Vegas and what that means. So, and that gets back to the once upon a time. So, those of you who know me know how much I am fascinated by the flow of money and the energy of money and how we express it and and the values that it demonstrates. So, in Vegas, when I think about the expression and flow of money, how do we demonstrate that? It could be an experience, it could be a hope and a dream, it could be survival or security. It could also be passion. All right, I know you guys are so dirty. It could be sex, yes, but it also could be more a hobby or a collection of things. So when you think about Vegas that brings money that is often exchanged more often than not in private through digital exchanges is front and center and wide open to see how others express and flow with the energy of money and express their values. So let's talk about that. My experience was going to Lady Gaga concert. It was a jazz and piano show. She was at the MGM Plaza in the Park Theater, and she played for 2 hours and 40 minutes with no intermission. It was dance, song, costume, you name it, quintessential Vegas. It was fascinating. And I mean, Lady Gaga, come on. I mean, a decade ago, she did the song Born This Way, which was a game changer for many, many people, including me. And to see her do jazz and piano, a whole new genre, was really remarkable and fabulous. So at the end of the show, or in the middle of the show, near the end, all of a sudden, dropping down from the rafters was money or the appearance of money. Obviously, it was fake. And I stand up, and this fluttering $100 bill comes towards me, and then it starts to take a left turn. I lunge near this guy next to me who had this like big gulp vodka tonic that I almost knocked over and landed in this guy's lap. Was Lady Gaga and her $100 bill with the Vegas scene on the back. And it was amazing to see how many people went after this, like me. It was like my token of a trip. Money, what does it do and how do we react? Whether, and it's only the value that we give it. So for a country, national currency, the dollar we give it, or $100 bill, or as I said, how do you demonstrate your values? So Lady Gaga, I jump leaning on, almost landing on this guy's lap to get this little paper fake $100 bill. And I chose to, through a surprise, that I saw the Lady Gaga show, which meant the world to me. But also while in Vegas, I visited the gold and silver pawn shop. It's world famous because it's on the History Channel, Pawn Stars. And I have to tell you, you may not know, I didn't really know how pawn shops existed and what their purpose was until several years ago. And I started to do more research on why they exist. And I don't know if you know, there are over 11,000 pawn shops in the United States, and it serves over 30 million customers. And basically, what a pawn shop does is they provide a loan for exchange of your property to hold on to it until you come back after a certain time to pay back the loan with interest. And if you don't come back within that period of time, contractual, to pay back the loan with interest, they keep your property. So it's short-term loan, and if you don't come back to keep your to get your property, there's no credit report. There's nothing that gets anywhere because they have your property. So it's an extremely expensive way to get short-term money if you don't pay back the loan. And believe it or not, according to the National Pawnbrokers Association, 80% of things pawned, the customer comes back to pay back the loan. 80%. So only 20% end up in that very expensive choice of money. But let's get back to Pawn Stars. I love this show. I think about going into its 17th season. It's a family run business. Rick Harrison and his son, and Rick Harrison wrote a book, License to Pawn, several years ago that I read. And it was kind of the behind the scenes of his shop. And I was fascinated by it. The History Channel, it's their number one show in their portfolio, generating over 3 million an episode, each episode. So it's a big hit, and it makes sense. It's funny, it's easily digestible, it's a family business, so there's tenseness, there's negotiation with the buyer and the seller, and on the backdrop of glitz and glamour of Vegas. I mean, how great is that? So let's talk about Rick Harrison's book, Behind the Scenes, of what makes it so interesting. Now, in this show, it's kind of higher end pawn. Generally, when you think of what gets pawned, it's oftentimes jewelry, musical instruments, power tools, audio home equipment, computers, of course, and coins, gold and silver, are primarily the big issues. However, this show does a lot of collectibles. So things that people choose to spend money on, passions. And that's what's fascinating about it. Because when you think of antiquities and the history of those things, the story behind that is quite compelling. Rick Harrison talks about how World War II A2 bomber jackets in great condition get freakishly high prices in Japan. In Japan. That's just crazy to me. And also the metal flip top Zippo lighters that were originally bought by servicemen in Vietnam also get high prices because in Vietnam, the service men would engrave on those flip top zipper lighters different things, whether it be their love or fear of death, a regret of leaving their loved ones behind, or frustration with the enemy or their government. So it could be peace signs, it could be kind of the finger thumbs up, but all of these Zippo lighters have these narratives on on the metal. And that's why they get these freakishly high prices. And I don't know if you remember those A2 bomber jackets also had painted stories on the back of those leather jackets during that time. So once again, a story of who wore it, what missions did they have, how many bombs did they drop. Fascinating stories of people's past. And so when you think about how we express money and the flow of money, whether it be an experience, a passion, a collectible, survival, pawning in the first place, or gambling, a hope and a dream, what do we do for it? How do we express it? Are you demonstrating your values through the exchange of money? Or what story are you telling behind how you express money? So, what story are you leaving behind with how you've expressed the flow of money? I find that so intriguing. And so I leave you with that. I look forward to you sharing your answers. I also want to know like what you love doing in Vegas because there's so many things to do. Me, I took it to this whole new level of the flow of money and how we express it. But I'll leave you with one last story, and that is when pimps wear a lot of jewelry, gold jewelry around. The reason they do that is because if they get arrested, the jewelry does not get confiscated like cash does. So it allows them to make bail quite easily. Now that is a fascinating story. And I thank you for your time. Let us know how you are demonstrating your values through the exchange of money. And what story are you leaving behind with how you express money? And is it in alignment with what's important to you? So, thank you for your time and have a great day.